can have a big applause for him.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate all of you, and I'm actually feeling good. There's a good vibe in here. And since everybody's advertising, so, well, maybe not everybody, but I figured I'd take a chance. This is my album. I did it in 2014, and it's titled Red is the Color of Changes, and it's a lot of poetry and jazz and blues and pop, and I popped.
All right.
And it's $10. I'll read a couple poems and then I'll move out of the way. This one is titled That Word. That word you spoke, revival. I heard your soul, and it gave rhythm to this silent heart. That word you said picked the falling leaf on days of thunder, on days of thunder. That word echoes, it dwells the core, on days of thunder. I saw light. You spoke that word, that word, that word, that word. Thunder to quiet emotions. Thank you. And then I'll do another one that is kind of cold, but it's cool. I like it. It just came out of nowhere. This one is Antarctica, as they say. Your smile is bright. It gives me possibilities. Remember once you spoke poetry in my ear? Now that poetry got cold rapidly. Your poetry got really cold in the Alaskan of my thoughts. Antarctica knows where your stanzas lie. Words hang out there. Lines can be seen from far distance. Every verse you wrote is now an ornament on those frozen trees. Your poetry got cold. The prose of that letter you dedicated is now decorating that old hall. Where everything seems to be living, your poetry isn't. Your poetry got cold. The Greenland speaks to your frozen notebook. Only polar bears can recite your poems you once wrote. Your poetry got cold. Cold in the region of my heart, feel your poetry being lost, the coldest spots. Yes, I recall you conveying uplifting, pronouncing poetic sentiments. Unfortunately, they weren't real. That's why now all is simply ice. Couldn't believe your voice abstract, written in acrostic form, spelled as words. The format of your poem is no longer in hell. Cannot breathe cold air, you see? We will see what the Alaska's winds bring, more so what direction they blow. The North Pole, I usually visit around winter. This time, I was there earlier. Of course, thinking your poetry could ever freeze was an error. What can I do? As they say, whatever is said has no weight. At times it does. Actually, by now, frozen ocean feels the loneliness. All the poems got cold by cold waters. And in between, they became icicles. We would always hope our speeches never to freeze, yet they do when the flames turn out suddenly. Poetry could ever live, but it is up to the poet breathing daily. Poet must keep speaking from the heart space. If he doesn't, words freeze with the blink of an eye. Thank you. Okay, so can I do another one or? Okay, so this one it follows. Okay, so this one is. Let's continue in the cold areas. Don't let your poetry get cold. Don't let your poetry get cold. Don't be the frozen poem. Don't let that Juliet die in you as Romeo put her to sleep. He stopped breathing in her ear. Don't let the queen freeze as the king left her thinking red in green lands in her head. Don't let your poetry get cold. As the world is already freezing to death, with political powers wishing to rule our brains, idiotic ideas to control our souls, don't let your poetry get cold. Utter what must be said. The universe awaits your fervent, ardent speech. Let your tongue speak it. Don't let your poetry get cold. Convey your words of understanding to all you encounter crossing roads. Don't let penguins cry death, the death of your voice. Don't let your poetry get cold. As frozen stanzas on the Antarctica, or the prose the lover wrote to Amanda, don't let your poetry be the glacier on your heart. Keep it hot. Speak in dialects of Aztecs and Mayans. Don't let your poetry get cold. Don't let sadness of the past stop your warm spirit. Don't let the past procreate itself, freezing God's plan. Bring life, execute his might. Don't let your poetry get cold. Don't let your words become ice. Shift your mind. Let your soul communicate what the world must change, that the world must change its ways. Silence isn't living. Cutting your tongue is speaking death. Don't let your cold air, don't let the cold air waves freeze your sentiments. Let the heated chords, words extend through time, distance. Be the voice to my existence. Don't let your poetry get cold. Don't let your poetry get cold. Don't let poetry get cold. After all we need is love. All we need is love. Love is all we need. Love is all we need. Love is what we need. Speak it. Thank you.
Yeah.